Hello and welcome to the Circuit Breakers interview series. I'm your host, Steve Semler, and I'm joined today by Chris DeYoung, who's the founder and CEO at Cognogent. Chris, thank you for joining us. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Thanks for inviting me, Steve. My name is Chris DeYoung. I'm the CEO and founder of Cognogent. We're a new AI startup that's just about ready to release our MVP, and our product works in the RFP and capture space to help salespeople and sales teams answer and fill content in for RFPs and proposals from the federal government.
Yeah, so lots of complex work that AI is going to make much easier for people to handle.
That's the hope.
Yeah. So and along with that, lots of people are excited about the possibilities of generative AI. So it's great to see that you're making practical applications of that for something as complex as that complex sales process and the RFP process. What inspired you to tackle that, both from a technology and a business standpoint?
Sure. Well, I've been in the industry for about 25 years, and I spent a lot of time on these sales teams that had to answer these RFPs, and they're very complex. They're long. A lot of them are 100 or 200 pages long, and they're worth multi-million dollars, right? I mean, we've answered some that are in the hundreds of millions of dollars range. And it takes a team, and a lot of times it takes several months to pull these together, right? So there's a lot of opportunity there for AI agents and automation to create content and check compliance and that sort of thing. So we just found that there's a lot of opportunity there, and I pulled a team together that is working to help me build that.
Awesome. It kind of makes me think also about kind of plans for the future about on the contract evaluator, contract review side. I wonder if there's thoughts on kind of doing something on the purchasing or procurement side.
Yeah, if you look at procurement, it's that's one of the big things AI is very good at. I mean, or it's one of the focused areas that we want to look at. So RFP answering is a slice underneath that procurement umbrella, I guess, as you'd put it. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go. So in the process of answering an RFP, there's a lot of pieces that go into it before even getting to writing the RFP. Right now, we're kind of focused on the RFP content itself, and then there's several teams that work on an RFP itself. There's a blue team, a black hat team, and all these teams have little different things that they do. So the blue team evaluates the RFP first and makes sure that the company's products and services kind of align with what the RFP is asking for, that sort of thing. Then you have the black hat that is going in to do a competitive analysis of what who's the incumbent, what are their gaps in their current offerings and that sort of thing. So you can do a competitive analysis and see how we can position ourselves to be more competitive in that space. And then there's the pink team that goes through and does compliance checking and that sort of stuff. Red team for the technology check to make sure that aligns. And then there's other things like the green team who does the pricing. And then there's the guys that do the final analysis and that sort of stuff. So there's an awful lot of opportunity in building any of these products and services around any of these teams. But that's what we're kind of focused on right now. I mean, we're looking at content, but there's the opportunity space. I think as a small startup, the opportunity is so great that it seems like we're more having more issues with actual focus on something than the opportunity itself, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. As you founded this startup and pulled the team together, sometimes I find that entrepreneurs run into people getting misconceptions about what it takes to do a tech startup. I think it's either way too big or it's just something that's tiny, small, and it kind of, not hard to do. What are some misconceptions you've run into, and how do you kind of address those?
Yeah, they're all over the board. I mean, and it starts with me too. I mean, I have an enterprise architecture background, so I'm used to talking with businesses and consulting with them about either their tech or their business processes and that sort of thing. But there's, whenever you look at your first product and that, it's so difficult because you could go way too broad and then you're building something that isn't focused enough, or you pick something that's too small. I think we're in a good space in this piece of AI, especially under the procurement umbrella, where we pick kind of a niche in there that isn't too oversaturated with a lot of people that are building tools for it right now. And I think that'll help us grow. And that, the same tools that we're using to do answering RFPs and that are vastly usable to answer any kind of other documents or that sort of stuff. So as it turns out, we'll hopefully be able to, once things start growing a little bit, we'll be able to, focus out a little bit and broaden our marketing for different
Yeah,
markets.
that makes sense. Um, as the business landscape constantly evolves, especially with generative AI coming in, um, how do you stay kind of open and adaptable to change, to break that circuit of just doing things the routine way?
Yeah, and that's a tough one too, because I kind of like to stay on the cutting edge of stuff, and you have to in this space. I mean, there's, every time a new LLM or something comes out, there's a significant amount of detail and improvements that have happened. But the flip side of that is when you start building products and you want to go into production, it has to be something stable too. The customer doesn't care if it's the latest and greatest stuff if it's not stable, or they're not getting they're not getting feedback in something that's in a format that they can use or something like that. So it's really a trade-off, and and the it's a mix of development, it's a mix of quality control, and talking to the customers and making sure we understand what their needs are. I think that's what we have to focus on.
Yeah, so it sounds like that balance is a kind of a key thing for you to be able to keep in mind to help you juggle, juggle the competing or ten aspects and tension there.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. One thing I like to ask is, I know many tech leaders, people who are in it for the technology, they love the technology. But sometimes they also have to feel like they're putting up with the frustrations of the people side of the business. Takes away some time they could be spending on solutions. How do you handle that challenge?
Um, if I have to admit it, probably not very well. I mean, I love the tech side too. I really like working on with my team and stuff like that. So I really enjoy the team portion of this. Um, the part that I struggle with, and I'll openly admit it, is, we're right in the midst of tax season, right? So, although I love tech and that, being an accountant was never one of the things that I ever wanted to do, or dealing with the bureaucracy of multiple states and their tax systems and that sort of stuff. It's very difficult to pull all that stuff together, and you never appreciate how much time is spent doing that administrative stuff, versus really working in stuff that's worth something to a customer. So but yeah, I complain about the administrative stuff quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's not at all unusual. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of the things I help folks with, as they're looking at places to work their business in different ways too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to spend a significant amount of time, in the tech, which is something that I'm good at, and I can make move stuff forward. It's another thing to spend, 5 hours doing some accounting stuff that, someone that knows something about it would probably do it in 15, 20 minutes, right? And I'm just fumbling around, so, recognizing when you're spending your time wisely and when you're not, I think that's something that you really have to concentrate on.
Yeah, and that's probably a key tip. Recognize
Right.
when you're spending your time in places that aren't getting value back for you.
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
point. Yeah. So what's coming up over the next year for your business? What do you envision as the next chapter as you're getting the MVP set and then launching that?
So I think that we're going to launch this MVP, but then we really have to focus on product market fit, right? I mean, it's one thing to have something that a few people are interested in. It's another thing to have a customer that comes up and says, "Yeah, I'm really willing to pay for that feature or function." So, our MVP is pretty much out there to prove that we can deliver something functional and on time and within a certain budget or something like that. But adjusting those features and functions to a product market fit, I think, is going to be our challenge, and for the next 8, 9 months anyway.
Hmm. How are you feeling about your method and plans or strategy for going forward doing that?
I'm pretty confident with it. Quite honestly, I think I'm like every other entrepreneur. I think things move a lot slower than I'd like them to move, and that's given a lot of different reasons for that. We don't have an unlimited budget, of course, so we have to, we can't hire 100 people to do this at once. Um, and then it's just some of it is just the tech is so new that some of the stuff just hasn't been figured out yet. So it's just a matter of watching that and making sure that we're putting together a plan that works the best. I've been fortunate enough that I've worked in the AI and in high performance computing space for almost my entire career. So I'm used to working with literally the most bleeding edge technology that there is, right? It's always the fastest, newest. Um, but the flip side of that is a lot of times you're building a solution on a deck on a house of cards, right? So I think I have a pretty good mindset since I've worked in that industry for quite some time. So um, we'll put together a solution and move it along as fast as we can in that space, I guess.
Makes sense. And it absolutely helps to have that experience.
Yeah.
I would, yeah. Well, what advice would you have or offer for aspiring entrepreneurs in this tech sector who are just starting out or facing challenges in their businesses?
Well, that's a great question. And it's really changed so much. I mean, when I started, back in the early 90s, um, and I started building systems in that you could know a little bit about hardware, a little bit about software, and have some idea about networking and that. I mean, the internet, it was pre-internet, right? Um, so you so when I started learning this, it was just it came at us very slowly, and you could kind of learn it all, right? Today you could you could just concentrate on networking or storage or database or something like that, and never have to get out of that at all, and you'd have all you could figure out for the rest of your life, and to be really good at it. But um my passion is for the architecture, and I just love the having that wider breadth, and I think I'm just fortunate to start when I did, that you could pick the things up kind of one at a time. um so I mean, I guess my advice for entrepreneurs is to, you know especially if you're in the tech, is to keep a pretty broad understanding of that, um and then use the tools at our disposal that we weren't fortunate enough to have 15 years ago, but things like cloud and stuff that we can test things in quickly and see if they work. If they don't, we can shut it down, and it's not a high cost to us. So use all of that, use all of those tools that are available to us. And AI, of course, is fantastic at helping you build business plans, helping you do SWOT analysis on different parts of your business and that sort of stuff. So take advantage of all of that. And I think, you know, a few years back when people were trying to start businesses, they were looking to grow them really quickly and hire a lot of people. I think, quite honestly, my goal is to start small and grow very efficiently and stay small. We need to stay quick and effective. You see a lot of the large companies today are laying off a lot of folks, and that I don't ever want to be in that position. So I want to stay very small. I want to stay effective. And I think AI is going to help a lot of small companies accomplish that.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And an effective business strategy for being able to get that focus you're even talking about there too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I went through and I again, to do like an enterprise architecture consulting with a company or something like that would have been like a 3-month, a 3-month gig a lot of times with a whole team of people. If you know how to put the stuff together now with AI, you can pull something together in a couple days if you're really good, couple weeks with input, and interviewing people and all that. So it's a significant amount of work that can be done using AI agents and automation through ML.
Yeah. Progress makes
Yeah,
sense.
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Chris. Great meeting you and learning more about your entrepreneurial journey and Cognogent's story. For those who are watching, when you're faced with challenges in your business, consider these tips that we've heard from Chris here, and feel free to reach out to me for coaching and training support. As always, I'm Steve Semler at FocalPoint Business Coaching, helping techies be great leaders. Look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thanks.